What do you want to do? What do you want to talk about?
Scheffler. I think his quotes were going to. You're very much a lifestyle guy.
I am.
You're very into your lifestyle, your vacation, where you go, what kind of family gets to come along, what kind of time everybody has. I know some of your family traditions, being around you in two different phases of your life. I've heard you talk about them, and usually you have a beach trip back to like Carolina.
Yeah.
And it's not just your immediate family. You know, it's a multi-generation thing going on there.
Yep, we do.
Yeah. And so, okay, so full disclosure, we started talking about this in this break. Sometimes Scottie Scheffler, there's just a little too much syrup on the press conference.
Uh-huh.
And it's a little over the top for me and my taste. I'd like something just a little more to the point and not, all this other stuff's important. Tell me about the golf. You're here for the golf. That's why Yeah. But when he opened up, this one resonated with me, and I thought, and this I liked. I liked it. And I'm taking him at face value. Like, that's how you feel. Now, I would say maybe, you should, work on why you only enjoy a tournament win for 2 minutes. I don't get that, but I take him at face value. I thought what Padraig Harrington said, Padraig wanted to comment on it to the media, which I appreciate because we get shut out by a lot of people, and was a little leery because it didn't sound like he'd heard the comments. He'd only had them repeated to him, and he knew he could be stepping in it from that angle. And he was very careful to say, I don't want to speak for him, put words in him, right, into his mouth. But for me, I would tell young golfers, enjoy it more. I should have. And he said, I'm still enjoying the U.S. Senior Open, which he won 3 weeks ago at the Broadmoor in Colorado. And so it's just, to me, it says, hey, there are a lot of different things. And athletes, as Jerry Sloan said a long time ago, there's a lot of stuff going on in people's lives that you don't know about. And when you find out, there's this old cliche out there, if you knew everybody's story, you'd root for everybody. And I can definitely point out 10 people in my life in different phases of my life where I think, yeah, yeah, that really rings true now. There was a time they annoyed me, and then I heard some of the story, and I'm like, oh, man. And I am pulling for him,
yeah.
And so, but I thought it was fascinating because I think what Scheffler said is what a lot of live guys decided. They wanted to play less golf. They still wanted their money. They didn't want to play 72 holes. They wanted to play 54. They wanted some of their time back. Now, Liv tells them when they can play, they have to show up for every tournament, whereas the PGA, you're an independent contractor. You come and go and schedule yourself. So it's an interesting deal they made there.
Yeah.
But I think that's the deal those guys were making, was addressing what Scottie was talking about. And a long time ago, Jack Nicklaus said, Tiger's chasing titles now, but one morning he's going to wake up and he's just going to have all those trophies. He's going to want a wife. He's going to want kids. He's going to have a family. And I know there's jokes there because of stuff that happened with Tiger. Very public. We all know that, right? But Jack was right. He was right. And I think that same thing applies to Scheffler. And you're a tennis guy, so this is in your wheelhouse. John McEnroe's entire generation burned out. They were all blowing out at Boris Becker and all those guys, right, in the 80s and really even some of them into the 90s. Agassi lasted a little longer, kind of like went away and came back.
Borg retired at 30.
Borg bailed out early, right?
Yeah.
Some of these guys were bailing out in their mid-20s. I mean, they were gone, right? Now we've got this whole generation where one elite player after another is winning at 37.
Yeah.
Djokovic is pushing the envelope. Federer won at 37. Rafa Nadal. I mean, everybody's wired different. And I get generationally stuff, back in the day they had to fly commercial and now they're flying charter. And Stockton alone said that lengthened their careers, so it probably worked for tennis players. So I get it's apples and oranges, but it just really went to the sports thing is a big part of your life, but it's not all your life. And the other parts of your life have to be in balance too. Scheffler's balance is maybe in a different place than Padraig Harrington's balance.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciated Scheffler saying it because it was a great topic for radio. It was really interesting. I think everybody tries to figure out that work-life balance. It's like pro athletes, yeah, I mean, to a certain regard, they're like everybody else. Okay, their work is more fun and they get paid more money. But work-life balance, what? Haven't you struggled with that? You got a wife, 2 kids, you got local parents. It's like, hey, I got to watch this game, but I got to go do this thing. You are very good at communicating with your wife and kids when you're at work, and not everybody is. And I've seen it because I'm up there hanging out. And it's almost, if I don't see them or hear from them, I'm surprised.
Yeah, well, that's a great compliment. I appreciate that. Yeah. And we can get to my situation here in a second. And I don't actually disagree with much that you said right there.
Mm-hmm.
But
what do you disagree with?
I found Scottie Scheffler's comments horribly obnoxious.
Self-serving and aggrandizing?
Horribly obnoxious and out of touch.
Oh, really?
And obvious, frankly.
Oh, really?
And
obvious to you?
Obvious to everyone who is a decent human.
Okay.
And honestly,
what part is indecent then, since decent humans can figure this out?
Because we love our kids. I love my kids. What he said about if it affected my relationship with my kids.
Okay, so you're getting to the part.
Well, hey, good for you. Then quit today. Then what are you doing? Why are you in this tournament then? You know?
Yeah.
And if you're not getting any fulfillment out of it, that's a you problem. You have the best job on the planet, and you are the best at it. And you are 100 millionaire, and you live like the top 0.1%, and you're going to go out there and say, oh, what is it for? What is it for? And I love my kids. Congratulations. So do I. So does Lloyd, so does Hatch, so do you, because you're not a monster. So if you want to get up and say, hey, everyone, I'm not a monster, you could have done that in a second. It was the most obvious thing I've ever heard, and such an easy thing to say from someone in his position. I was so annoyed.
Okay.
So annoyed.
So
you, David James, can say those things. No, let me use me as an example again real quick. And you are a great example of this too. Mm-hmm. Do you think that I love spending 100 nights a year away from my family? Do you think that is only
only when the Jazz are winning
that I enjoy? Well, hold on. It actually doesn't have to do with winning. That is not my first choice from my family standpoint. It's not. But you know what? I find my job incredibly fulfilling. I find hanging out with Tim and Jamil and the group and the Jazz broadcast and Locke and everything. And I love my job. I find it incredibly fulfilling. You know who knows that? My family, who sacrificed to help me have that fulfillment, not to mention making a living, which is something that we all have to do unless we have hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank. It's okay. It offends me as someone who does get fulfillment out of their job and does love their family. What am I supposed to be? Am I supposed to feel bad about myself because I'm away from my family so much? Is that now? Am I now all of a sudden a selfish person because I get fulfillment out of that, as opposed to being like, well, if it ever affected my relationship with my kids? Well, it does. It does. And we make it work. So it's offensive to me to hear someone in his position say that. Offensive.
So I don't think he was trying to say that to you. Maybe that hits you because you struggle with those thoughts. And it wouldn't surprise me if you struggled with some of those thoughts, because I've struggled with some of those thoughts, right?
Right.
I've worked a lot of nights. You worked a lot of nights. I didn't have a lot of Friday night, Saturday night movie nights with my kids because I was working.
On the news.
Right. But, I knew that when I signed up for it.
Right.
But that doesn't mean I don't think about it. But it's a me problem. It's not a somebody else problem. I'm the one who signed up for it. And I could quit and go work at a bank and get a 9-to-5 gig. And I used that because a guy who really mentored me very well early on, his wife worked in a bank. And that was the thing in their marriage. So that's why I went straight to that, because he's had that talk with me. You know, she's like, why aren't you? And he's like, well, because I don't work at a bank. You work 9 to 5. I am the weekend sportscaster.
Yeah, right.
He was in Santa Barbara and Sacramento. I think, listening to Scottie Scheffler, I think he knows what it takes to be number one, and he enjoys it, and he does it. And I think when he's out there in a sand trap, knocking 100 balls up onto the green and refining his game to the level he has to be who he is, he's thinking, I could be with my kids. And he legitimately enjoys being with his kids. I think we saw like his inner, and I get your point about if someone says, well, Scottie Scheffler sometimes is self-serving or aggrandizing or, like the level of honesty he threw out there. And I have felt that at times when he talks. I don't like being told someone's all about faith and family. A lot of people are trying to be about faith and family and being honest in themselves and the universe, whatever terms you use. Yeah. So let's not hold just one person up. There's a lot of people trying to figure out how to do it. But I think the level that's required at a lot of jobs has a work-life balance issue that makes a lot of us say, I'm really doing the right thing here, right? And there's all kinds of studies about people in their 20s, who won't work full time or who only work full time for 2 years and then take a year off to go do what they want.
Yeah, it's Christian.
I never.
Anybody else? No, that joke didn't land?
That wasn't how I was wired, and that wasn't how anybody I hung out with in my 20s was wired. All the guys I went to college with, nobody could do, well, one guy kind of sort of did that, but nobody else did it, right? But there was a guy who went on the road with a band and was a roadie for like 3 months or 6 months. Cool. Or something. And he's very successful in the world of insurance. He's very much in a 9-to-5 business. He's been at our house in a guest room yelling at a client in London so loud through a door that my wife could hear him. And I came home from radio and I'm like, is Dennis up? Oh, yeah, he's up. I'm like, what does that mean? He goes, he said somebody in London on blast. He said he was going to get up early and go to work, and it's because of the time difference. And so he said, I'll be up early, but I won't be out early because I have to make these calls for work. And so I don't know what they were battling over, what contract or whatever. Yeah. But I think, and he's traveled a lot for work, and, so that's its own work-life balance, the people who travel a lot. Locke's talked about that. On the one hand, he's gone a lot. On the other hand, they got an RV and drove around the U.S. one summer. So it's,
Yeah. And
he's gone on Tuesday nights just like you, and even more because he travels, right? So when they're out on a road trip, they're gone. At least you go home at the end of the game. But on the other hand, he got this cool thing, right? And that's the thing Scheffler's got to battle with. But I don't think having money and being good at your job gets you to get out of that conversation.
No,
with
I don't think so either. And again,
wherever the line is, like if he's working 60 hours a week and he has that conversation, even when he's working 25 hours a week, he's having that conversation. Yeah. Maybe I should go back to 24 and I should have one more hour with the kids.
Getting back, I don't disagree with that, certainly.
Yeah.
Getting back to kind of what you were saying about him laying it on thick and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
This is what a sick person I am. I hear somebody say that. I heard Scottie Scheffler's comments, the whole thing, and I thought, I don't believe you. And it's marketing. And we watched Tiger do this. Tiger sold this I can do no wrong, and we know now about Tiger. We forget the picture he painted of Elin and the kids.
Yeah.
And he's selling Buicks. And he's this American family man that's
not a new story.
A complete fiction.
Yeah,
and so,
that's not a new story.
You can paint I'm a good guy all you want, and you can say, oh, I'm really about family. But the thing is, I don't really believe you.
See, that's the part that and all the conversations about pro sports, and not like it doesn't happen in other places, right? But when someone starts to go down that road, I really don't want to hear athletes talk about religion. And that doesn't mean that they don't get to have their religious experiences and their faith and their spirituality, and it guides them. But when they start talking about it, and we know stories that we can't possibly tell on the air, there's no way to clean up some of the stories I've been told by pro athletes who live in this community. I can't clean them up. Mm-hmm. And so knowing how crazy it is, and having been told point blank to my face by people I've known for a long time how wild it is, I just don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean everybody's a hypocrite.
No, I just don't want to hear it.
No, and I've literally had someone count up and say, this number of guys and all the teams I played with and all the years I did this and all the teammates I went through. I don't even want to tell you what sport, but you can multiply it out and get a number. Like this many guys I would listen to those conversations with. Most guys, come on, man. I've been in the locker room and I've heard people talking. And if you're doing half of what you're saying, if you're doing a quarter of what you're saying, don't get out there and talk like that. Because over here, the reality is very different than in words. And every time you hear a post-game interview and somebody thanks God and someone says they're blessed, well, on the one hand, you should thank God for everything you have if you believe in the Almighty, right? In whatever way or phase you do. Then that kind of goes hand in hand. So you should do it. And you are blessed to be an athlete with that level of skill and ability to get that moment and do that post-game interview and have won that game. I mean, I played high school basketball. I'm a better athlete than so many kids at my high school. And now that I played in a pickup game with a college athlete, they are so far in front of me, they're over the horizon. It's not even a race. I can't even see them. They've disappeared over the horizon, right? So that level of athletic ability, you either have it or you don't. You got to be 6'7" to start with, right?
Yeah, right.
But when I hear some of those, I just think back to all the stories and I cringe.
Yeah. Just to throw back to an old bit, because Lloyd's in the other room.
Yeah, Lloyd.
It's God's time is a way to sum this up. We did this bit years ago when Lloyd was producing, because Ray Lewis was asked, said, "Hey, did you murder that guy?" And Ray Lewis's response was, "No, it's God's time." And basically, what he was doing was using the "I'm really religious, so I could obviously never do that" as a cover, and it's offensive. And so,
at the bare minimum, he pled guilty to obstructing justice in a murder investigation. That's at the minimum. Now, maybe you think it's more than that, and that hasn't been proven, but that's what he pled guilty to, and that is on the list of things. But don't talk about it, DJ,
because he's religious, so he obviously didn't do it.
That's now you're getting to the I don't want to hear a post-game comment now. And honestly, I know that story, and I cringed every time he came out and the whole stadium stood up and went nuts. But James Worthy got arrested in Houston, and the whole arena stood up and went nuts. I mean, it's like, this is what sports fans do. Yeah. Why are we surprised that athletes are like this? Because look how fans are.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but enabling. Enabling.
All right. Anyway, we have other things we can get to.
We do. I was glad you talked about it. It was an awesome segment. And this time I really thought we're hearing some of the truth about his inner struggle, which granted, he's got life by the tail. Why does he have struggles? I get that.
Why does he get credit for doing what you're supposed to do?
An excellent question. Why do any of us?
And I guess you could point to, well, Tiger was a monster, so at least he's not a monster like Tiger. Okay, does he?
Yeah,
deserve
but it's so
credit
much
for that?
more complicated than that. Like some of Tiger's behavior over here, terrible. On the other hand, there's a bunch of kids getting an education that they wouldn't have gotten if Tiger hadn't invested.
No, I mean, all right, we don't need to go back down this road. But no,
I hate the super simplified view.
What I mean is totally disregard your kids and family. No. Don't put them in any sort of priority. Prioritize yourself, your love life, your golf life, whatever, over your family entirely like they don't exist. That's not – you shouldn't get credit for not doing that. I mean, Tiger's story was a tragedy. It is a tragedy.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
So
I mean, there's a lot of hurt and a lot of sadness in that for a lot of people.
But we shouldn't be giving out medals for people that aren't tragic.
Yeah, but this is sports, man. We give out medals left and right.
Fair enough.
It's what we do.
It is what we do. Did you watch the ESPYs?
It is what we do. I did not watch the ESPYs. I'm totally over the ESPYs.
I think I've never watched
things
the ESPYs.
I'm over. Yeah. The ESPYs are on that list, right?